It was a big trip to Fort Nelson in them days. I remember going from Roseberry with a farmer in an old pickup to 101. It took pretty near all day to go there and back.
I think maybe those days, winters, we had more snow or something. And then, of course, we didn't have a vehicle either.
Got off the train at Dawson Creek, and then it was all gravel road at that time. We rode on the mail sacks in the back of this truck.
Because at that time, there was not much good way to travel. You either had to walk or a railroad or something.
Right.
And he says what saved the day for him many times was the fact that he bought a buffalo coat. And sometimes when he was walking the great distance, he couldn't make it all the way to the next where he stayed. Got under a spruce tree, covered himself with a buffalo coat, and survived.
Because you do everything yourself. Like Mom canned 100 quarts of Saskatoons a year. We picked wild raspberries.
But I was brought up, if you couldn't afford to buy it, you couldn't afford to eat it. But in those days, and you had a cellar, under your house, so I mean, you tried to get as much vegetables out of your garden, or canned them. Used to can peas.
I worked for a month or better, and I got $25 a month. And my chore was wash and clean the separator, and separate the milk, take care of the cream, and do the baking of the bread or whatever else, and wash the floors, scrub, do the kids' or everybody's wash. They didn't have dryers, they just had a gas washer and clothesline outside. Mm-hmm. And if I got that all done, I'd go out and work in the garden. They had a big garden.
I don't remember too much else, how many other things were rationed, but sugar and meat were the two things. But we weren't bothered by that because I grew up on a farm.
Okay.
And we had our meat, but sugar was...
Sugar was
It was the commodity everybody was after.
He brought this pig in, and it was then cut it all up. And in those days, we habby-cured with habby-cured salt. Each piece of meat had to be done and put down in a crock with no freezers, no electricity, so you had to keep it cool. Okay. A couple of days later, I had checked that meat, and lo and behold, every piece of that I had to wash and clean off the damn flies that got in there. I'll tell you, it was so frustrating. Had to do it all over again.
And for meat, they fried pork. She called it frying it down and putting it in lard and keeping it cold in the cellar. We had a nice house for summer. And it was really a nice ice house. It was like two houses. There was the outside one, and then there was about 3 feet of sawdust in an inside house. So it kept the ice nice and clean, and you could store your milk and things like that in the summertime.
Oh yes, I like meat and potatoes twice a day. Still do.
And in those days we didn't have instant yeast. We used to bake our bread with the old type cakes of yeast, okay. Fleischmann's yeast. Mm-hmm. And Mom used to have a method that she did with a hot water bottle and cover it all over. But she would save the potato water and use that and get a big pan she had, deep dish pan of some kind, and that's what she'd make the bread in. And she'd do it at night and then put it on the warm hot water bottle and cover it all over with coats and blankets. In the morning she'd put it in the loaves and make bread.
The power came through, but we didn't take it because we lived a mile. I forget how many thousands it was going to take the power down there, so we did without.
A person would do any type of a job. And I know my husband's father-in-law used to walk out to the Baldonald area and work. Walk for $1 a day and maybe if it was extra heavy work, he'd get $2 a day for picking roots. And
In my day, not so much, but in my grandma's day, I think they did a lot of sewing. Like they would keep the flour sacks, the sugar sacks, and make them into clothes and different things. I remember my mum talking about my grandma sewing dresses for them. And
Yeah, that was the only school there then. It was all there was. There was 4 rooms in there, and it had up to grade 12. I think I was in about grade 5 or 6 or something like that at that time.
if I stayed at my mom's, I had 4 miles to walk in the morning. So that was pretty tough deal. I sometimes would start out walking. If I was lucky enough, the boys from the Air Force would go out and check they had a station out there then with where the big lights are out the road there, and they used to go out there every so often or in the day, and if I was lucky they'd pick me up and give me a ride to the corner, but I still had a mile to go.
he was up north someplace trapping, and he froze his feet really badly. And he nursed them along, but they turned black on him. I guess that's gangrene. He didn't think he could walk out, didn't have time to walk out. But he always took a bottle of rum with him, he said, for medicinal purposes. I think he said he drank, I forget what he said, a half a cup of rum or a cup of rum. In a cup measurement anyways. And set his foot up on the sharpening up the axe. Set his foot up on the chopping block, and he said he figured he had to get them all at one with one whack. He didn't think he could ever do it twice again. Like he had this kind of planned out. So he set them up on the chopping block, cut them off. Like, you know, when we talk about our childhood, nothing compares to the stories that our that our parents and grandparents could tell.
Oh, we knew we were poor. We didn't have to think about it. Goodness, everybody was in the same boat. You know, if you had a pair of running shoes, I can remember going to school and every day putting a piece of cardboard in the bottom because I had a hole in my shoe, and I had a mile and a half to go to school.
People had to be responsible because you had to be. You looked after yourself and you looked after anybody littler than you. And we got by.
No, you have to take advantage of every opportunity that comes along.